Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. My name is Michael O'Connor. I'm with ServiceProfessionalsNetwork.com. Today is going to be an interesting conversation for several reasons. I'm already in scatterbrain mode. As Laura can already tell, I didn't give her any warning that we were about to go live. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who is tuning in here in the comments. I will try my best to pay attention to them. You guys, as you know, I'm horrible at that. Laura Flessner, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, Mike. So glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. Most people may not know this. I probably don't. I don't know how much I am the actual center of the universe, but I like to think that I am. But you joined me last Friday for a Follow Friday event that I do on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook every Friday, Central Time, 2 p.m., right? And I just thought you were an amazing ball of energy. I've been wanting to talk to you because I've been seeing your lives. I've been seeing the things that you post. I've been seeing your comments on LinkedIn. I think that you're wonderful and insightful. And, thank you for deciding to do this chat. That'd probably be the first question is, why would you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me on something that's being videotaped?
Thank you for those glowing, wonderful comments, Mike. That they really do. They just touch my heart. I love having conversations with so many different people, and you, Mike, are one of a kind, I have to say. So I'm just excited to see where this conversation goes and what fun we're going to have today.
Well, a lot of people may not, like I said, Center University, Eagle size Nebraska. People may not know this, but the reason why I do these chats is I'm not going to keep everybody for too long. We'll probably chat for a half hour or so. Is I just like to introduce people, connect good people to good businesses, and ask the hard hitting questions, right? Because there's not enough tough interviews going on nowadays. No. But I really just want to let everybody know that social networking is all about introducing people. And if you find somebody that is interesting, get to know them a little bit, take them offline, ask some questions. If you have a network, thousands of people, I'm not saying that, 50,000 is a big number, but it's about where I'm at on LinkedIn. I got a few, other networks, including the Service Professionals Network. So my own network, right? It's all about, if you have a network, you might as well share it with people. Right. And if you're not sharing it, you're not doing anybody injustice. And why should people follow you? One thing I have to kind of make a prediction. How many LinkedIn followers do you have now? Or connections?
I'm at 3,800, I think. And within the last week, I gained over 500.
Over
Actually.
500.
Yeah.
Wow. What
Yeah.
would you do this week that was different than the last couple of weeks? More puppies, rainbows, and sunshine, or what?
No, there was one post that went viral. There was over 1 million impressions, and
1 million impressions?
yeah, and
I
people
think that
just
might be
really
more than what I got in
connected.
the last 9 months. That's crazy. That's awesome.
It's a little ridiculous. I totally agree.
Well,
Yeah.
what was that post about?
That post was really about it said call me crazy, which is one of the things because it's not necessarily popular in the professional world, but it's about really finding joy out of other people's successes, not just your own. And life is
Oh,
really
that the call me crazy
the call
post?
me crazy post. That one,
You
that
know
one.
what? I think the last time I had something go super viral, I shared the same picture. I remember seeing that last week. I'm like, oh, that one's gonna hit, But
Uh,
you know how many times they say that in a week and I'm totally wrong, and I come back later, I'm like, I can't believe this person only got 40
didn't
likes on
work.
this. You're telling me? So I must, because I rang your bell, right? So I think I must have seen it right when it first went up, and
Yeah.
I think there was only like a handful of likes. You're telling me they had 1 million impressions? I
Yeah.
tell you what, people think there's a big secret to success on LinkedIn, and really, it's just about sharing your thoughts in the moment. And and if you have positive thoughts, even if somebody else has shared that picture 1 million times, people are starving for it. I know I am. You know what I mean? The first I went through, I was like, I knew it was going to be good. I can't remember exactly what you wrote, but you put your 2 cents into it, right? It wasn't just the picture. You wrote a story, right?
Absolutely. Well, it was my point about what really true leaders, in my opinion, really put their focus on, and it's really about growing other people and celebrating successes around because there's more and more than enough work to do and more than enough achievements to accomplish, and being able to share the celebration is huge. To be able to, I think it said, rise the tide for all the boats, right? So
You
Um,
know, I love stealing that line. It's one of my favorite lines to steal. You know, that's hilarious.
that's
You know,
right. I saw you actually make a post about that too. Yeah.
was it the leadership first net that guy? So I have a problem with like mixing people's names and faces and everybody up, right? And I'll be the first one to tell you that Becky Wolf, and Megan Mitchell, I get all your posts confused because you're all so bubbly and positive, but like you guys write smart, heartfelt posts, right?
Yeah.
So like it's kind of cool for me because I've been around for a while to see like the whole new wave of talent. I mean, like how long have you been on LinkedIn taking it seriously now?
It's been a year and a half now.
A
Yeah.
year and a half.
Yeah.
And was that your first post that went super viral?
That was my first post that went that massively huge. Yes.
Now, did that one post like add up to all your other volume throughout the last six months, year? Like how much of an impact do you think that made?
No, that alone had made up for probably the last year
For
in
the
just
last year, right?
yeah, that one post. For
And I have 50,000 followers, which I have no problem reminding people. But a million impressions, that's crazy. I have 100 to 200,000 a week, on average, right? But to get one post with a million, that doesn't happen too much, even with a much larger network. So congratulations on hitting that lightning on that day. What inspired you? Was it something to where you're just thinking I need to make a post, or were you specifically inspired by something that day to write that?
Well, as far as how I do my posts, I have a little bit of a cadence. And I do one of those, picture quotes every week. So just one of them. I don't do too many. And as I was looking through which one should I do this week, I was looking at some of the accounts that I follow. I think Leadership First is one of them. Community 7 is another one that I follow that I love that have a lot of those picture quotes. So I was just scrolling through those and seeing which one really captured me, and that was the one that just happened to grab me that day. So it's amazing. You to your point, you can't predict some of these things.
Well, how many posts do you think you've made in the last year?
Oh, I've been posting every day for the
Every
last
day.
year. Not weekends, but every weekday for sure.
So 5 days a week, it's what, 350 posts a year, something like that, right? Not the greatest at math, but it's a fair amount of posts, right?
It's a fear
And
number.
you're doing singles, you're hitting singles all the time,
Mm,
right? And
yeah,
even your singles are adding up, right? Let me
absolutely.
ask, out of that million followers, right? Did your profile views go up, like profile search views,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
more than
definitely.
the searches?
Absolutely. And as I put out different call to actions now, right? Even just the following posts are rising, of course, because of that initial post. And I'm getting a lot more people that are signing up for my newsletter, which is one of my big call to actions. To be able to bring people in, and it's a nice be able to cadence. I think one of those things is I use those picture quotes as an entry. As an entry introduction, hello, this is Laura.
Like
Uh,
a big net.
yeah, that's the big net. That's the big thing that's cast because those are things that are easy, so easy just to click like, so easy to share. Because they're not usually they're not too controversial, but I do pick ones that really do
That's good. Everyone
fill
knows
my
I like to
heart.
avoid controversy.
I know you have a different strategy. It's okay.
Everybody knows. No, I mean, like honestly, I don't look. I'm a very much do as I say guy, and I tell people all the time. People are like, "Hey, I want to put SB in my name." And first of all, everyone knows I like to answer questions. Since she asked me how many followers did you say, Mike? It's 50,000 people. I don't know if I told you guys, but I like controversy on TV, right? Like I like watching things that I'm like, "Oh, where's this train wreck going?" Right? And I don't really have a strategy or tactics when it comes to what I post. I just kind of go with what feels good in the moment, which is like terrible advice if you're me, because I really don't have that filter, right? And a lot of people are like, "Oh, he just wants to be controversial, or he wants to," but I'm the same guy everywhere you get, right? So I might tell you we're friendly, right? Like I feel like you're a nice person. We should never have a problem, right? But if you do something that bugs me, the first thing I'm going to do is send you a message and say, Laura, what was that? You know what I mean? And then depending on how you respond to that, we are going to continue or not continue our thing, right? So people will say, I'm a bad guy because some of the things I do and I say to people, but like the way I look at it, maybe part of the reason why I'm here is to get free cheap advice, right? Because I know you're smart. You got neuroscience like thing down in your, so like, let's, I may be a social media floozy, but I'm not the dumbest guy, right? Like, is that like a bad strategy? Like if you're trying to grow on social media, right? To not necessarily pick fights with people, but to let people know where your boundaries are and like really strongly filter out the people that aren't like giving you the positive vibes? Or would you suggest being more like non-confrontational?
Yeah. So, I'm not an expert on being a social media influencer yet. That's something that I'm growing and actively doing, and learning really as I go. But as far as, being a leader, which I think, that actually is the same thing in a sense, right? Being a leader, the people that you hold close to you, particularly, and the people that you want to attract, um, are the people that you want to go far with, are the people that you want to work with, that because the energy only grows when it goes in the same direction, if that makes sense. Now, not saying that controversial conversations aren't helpful. They actually really helpful when you have a base level of respect and mutual purpose in that conversation. If you're trying to go in the same direction, the same place, but you're having that controversy of how, that conversation can be super helpful and tearing apart like the best way to get there. A great example of that, I think, are the Wright brothers, and trying to figure out how to fly. They were arguing all the time, and they would go at it, and you would hear stories of the people that knew them. But what happens when that happens is it stretches your thinking. It makes you prove your point, or it makes you realize that what you're trying to prove actually isn't right. But if you don't have that mutual purpose and that mutual respect at the base, then those conversations are not fruitful. They're not helpful. And to me, I think they're wasted energy.
Well, geez, yeah, I'm really glad it won that I asked that question because now I'm gonna have to. This might be the first video since like people may not know this, right? And I act pretty egotistical, but I can't stand watching myself on video. I just can't stand it, right? This might be the first time I go back and watch this because I'm gonna have to think about that. First of all, I'm like, oh, I know about the Wright brothers, but I didn't really know that they argued like that. So now I'm gonna have to go research that, right? And there's a lot to unpack there because you made several key points and you slid it all there all nice in a neuroscientist type of way too. You know what I mean? So what I heard, right, is it's okay to, do what you got to do to conserve your energy, but at the same time, you don't want to live in an echo chamber.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a perfect, nice little summary there. You need that diversity of thinking to be able to really grow, stretch, and improve to get to the best place where you're going. Because if you do have that echo chamber in your own head, then you're not going to be able to connect with whatever you're doing with people outside of your own head, which is
See,
everyone else.
people, I'm a connector. See, I like this. You're hearing it from the neuroscientist. I'm good for business people. I'm good for everybody. I'm connecting. My conflict, me being comfortable with conflict is good for people. That's what I heard. No. So back to the hard hitting questions, right?
Go for it.
What's with the purple streak? Because they all mean different things. Is this just like a youth thing? Or are you doing it for like a cause?
This is just for fun. This is fun. This is pop of color. This is fun. I love purple. My
I think that's why I noticed it. I like purple too.
I built my brand, MindTap, my business around purple. It's the base of creativity, um, of one of the things that purple can stand for. So I don't know. I just get a lot of energy
Basic
from that.
creativity. That's another thing I'm gonna have to go Google when we get off of here because I don't even know if I've heard that expression before.
And wealth.
All right, so now you really got my interest. You and the redneck financial coach are piquing all kinds of interest for the financial side of things lately.
Well,
So where are you at in the world again?
I'm in New Jersey, central New Jersey.
You're probably the happiest person I've ever met from New Jersey. No,
I understand that. I'm not originally from New Jersey, so I don't know if that says anything.
Oh yeah. So how long have you been there?
Just over 10 years.
Over 10. So maybe they just haven't corrupted yet. Everyone who was from New Jersey and SPN just got out, like just right now. You know what I mean? I used to serve pizza when I felt like I needed to humble myself a little bit. I went and served food for like 8 months because I was being pretentious, if you can imagine that. So I went and one joke I always ask somebody, because it was like a tourist type restaurant. I'm not going to mention them because they're not paying me right now. But I'd always like, how you doing? And they'd be like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where are you from? And no matter what they'd say, I would say, oh, I'm sorry. I totally would have spoke slower if I knew that. And the only people that ever got mad were either from New Jersey or from Georgia. So it's, they just, I don't know why. Everybody else was cool with it. But if you tell that joke to something, you can test it out. Try that joke in different crowds. I'm telling you. Oh, if I knew that, I would have spoke slower. It just, most people are like, hey, but I don't know why. New Jersey, they don't play with it.
The thing about you, Mike, is you do all these like social experiments.
I started that way when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this story, right? When I was 8 years old, I went around and told all the adults at a party that I accidentally threw away my fork, okay, while scraping my plate.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 43. So
No,
I did this
I
when
meant
I was
in the story.
8. I did this when I was 8.
Okay.
So I get in trouble for this. Watch, I'll tell you the whole story here. I'll try to tell you quickly and respect your time. So I went around and I told all the adults. I don't know why I did this. I was a precocious little kid. But I told all the adults I scraped my plate and accidentally threw away the fork, right? I wanted to see how many of them would tell me that they scraped their plate and threw away their fork, right? And how many of them would actually offer to go help me find my fork. I don't know why, right? Almost every one of them said that they threw away their fork, right? A few of them offered to help me find the fork or asked me if I lost the fork, right? After I had asked everybody, I gave a little time to settle, right? I walked out into the center room and asked for everybody's attention. And then I said, hey, I just wanted to know, has anybody here ever scraped their plate and accidentally threw away their fork? Right? Asked everybody. Not one person raised their hand and said yes in the whole room of adults. Isn't that wild? And so ever since then, I've just been fascinated with like doing that type of stuff and asking people different questions to see how they react. I mean, I can't help it. Maybe I am a provoker. I'm a conflict causer. I am.
It's so cool. I mean, literally what you're doing are these different experiments. You have these hypotheses or questions and you just wonder what's going to happen. I mean, that's the basis of curiosity, which is a huge aspect around innovation. It's so interesting.
Do you know why I got in trouble?
Why'd you get in trouble?
Because they all sat there in uncomfortable silence and started looking at each other. And, I asked them to say, hey, so nobody wants to raise their hand, huh? I said, what about you, Laura? Didn't you tell me you did this? I did that to like 5 or 6 of them. They want to drag me out of the house. But I basically called half the room out for lying to a kid. I'm like, so when they were dragging me out, I was like, it's not my fault they're lying to a kid. It was terrible. So all that because
how did you know that they were lying to you and just afraid to afraid?
Well, I knew that they were just afraid to tell everybody, but still, I felt like being a.
Oh, you were the provoke. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Now, all right.
I haven't changed much. Maybe I haven't grown up much. I don't know. Maybe I got in trouble. I was in trouble. They didn't take me any more parties for a while. Little boys are seen in that. I was that kid that, right? You're supposed to be seen, not heard. I was the inspiration for those stories. Many kids across America were told to be seen and not heard because of me. Yeah.
Well, what the types of questions you ask are really interesting because I think that they poke in a lot of aspects around what we believe to be true and then what actually is true.
Well, I believe I'm not going to eat that taco at 2:30 in the morning and get fatter, but my cheeks would tell me otherwise. You know what I mean? So I don't think people mean to like be deceitful or not tell people the truth, right? And
no.
I don't know, I struggle with that all the time. Like a lot of people, like even the people who like play victim, right? Or like, why is Mike so mean to me? Right? And you're gonna hear that. I mean, I am. Half the people that watch this show gonna be like, oh, I gotta tell Laura. You know what I mean? But here's the truth, right? Is I like to have those conversations. I want the real, right? Like I'm uncomfortable sitting in the muck. you know my friend Ashpreneur, which I think it's the first time I haven't called him Ashbagger in a while, because I was
Wow.
trying to class it up. You know, I told his wife that. I'm like, did he tell you that I said this? And she was cool with it, so nobody else could complain, right? She thought it was hilarious. Anyway, Ashpreneur, I don't know why I brought him up. Oh, uh, the first time I had a conflict with him, it got heated quick, right? It was on live stream too. It was on one of these chats. We were just having a chat, and you can go back. I don't know if it's on my channel or Ira Bowman's, but like we had it out on live stream, right? And it was the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, right? So it
Oh
was like a
gosh.
heated conversation. And that guy wound up calling me the next day. And because of the way he approached me, I had to respect that. Because I mean, he told me I was a what right off the bat. I was like, well, but this is what you did, right? And what's cool about that is he was comfortable enough with the conflict to say what he could have done better, and he was comfortable enough to tell me what I could have done better in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, because he did that, and I earned his respect, I wound up watching a 17-minute video that he's always bugging everybody about. And like after I got done with the video, I'm like, oh, I guess this makes sense. I'm not in neuroscience. I pick things up a little slower. I noticed the purple hair before I noticed all the books. I mean, like I have this lady on my show. I'm like, I could ask her anything in the world. I ask about the purple streak. I mean, come on, not the brightest guy in the world.
Why not? It's the fun thing. I love it. Well, I think that conflict management is one of the strongest, most powerful skills that you can have today. Um, and, particularly the humbleness of being able to reflect on maybe a conflict situation that you were in and how that went, both on your side and others, and like in a very objective view without judgment and more with curiosity of what could have worked better. Uh, how much farther would we be in the world today if people really took that seriously?
Are you big into quotes and cliches like I am? I think you are, right?
I do. I love them.
You ever hear that Muhammad Ali quote about a person that is the same at 40 that he is at 25, wasted, or the same person, the person's that same at 50, they are 25, wasted 25 years of their life?
I hadn't heard that, but I love it.
But you know how many people that really have no inspiration to change at all from day to day? I mean, God bless them. I love them, right? Like I have some friends that some of them still don't know what an @ sign is, right? Like they have no interest in getting online and figuring out what this whole Facebook thing is or anything like that, right? Like they just don't care. They'll live in 1994 forever. I don't know. I didn't even know Aquanet was still a thing, but like, these are the people I'm talking. And I love them, right? But like my philosophy in life is I want to improve just like 1% a day in something, right? Because we all have different skills and different things, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying 1% even all like overall as a person, just 1% a day in something can build up. And is that kind of like where you got, or like how does that compare to what kind of advice you're giving here?
Absolutely. And that's been my drive, I think, throughout my whole life, is more of a focus on how can I grow, and if I can grow, then I can make more of an impact, more of a difference in the world. And that's something that is really important for me to be able to do. And just, how can we rise to make a better experience for everybody in one way or another, small or big? It doesn't really matter the size. It's more of like, what kind of light do you shine? And yeah, that's definitely, I think we have obviously more control over our own growth than obviously the growth of others. So why not put your energy where you have the control?
I love that. And it's you're articulating a lot of things I think about, but I just don't understand or think about how to put that out there. But I'm telling you, this might be the first one in history of my YouTube channel. I deleted so many YouTube videos that I never wanted to go back and see them. Like, oh, like look at my hair. I'm like, I don't like my self-talk is terrible, right? But I'm gonna go back and listen to this because I almost want you to repeat it again. Not that I wasn't listening, but dang, So that's great. I just love the way you think of things. You got me sold on coaching, but I probably am not your business avatar, right? So
Probably not.
probably not, right? So who exactly is like your best client? Like who are you really looking to connect with? or anywhere?
Yeah, so I'm really looking to connect with people. I call them non-traditional leaders, women, minorities, introverts, um, even supporting functions, right? And usually like non-marketing folks, because those folks have a harder time being seen as leaders and stepping up into making that impact. There's a lot of unconscious biases out there, and I think we're more aware of them now, but the awareness does not literally change the neural pathways that created the biases in the first place. So they still exist, whether we know about them or not.
Well, sure they do. Anyone who tells you they don't is an idiot.
Absolutely. And so for me, it goes back to actually what I just said. The
So
biggest
I'm
difference,
totally not yours. So like everybody
you're
but
not.
me,
You're
basically.
just not.
Everybody. Yeah. Yeah. I think I lost it introvert. I'm not sure. You know.
Yeah, maybe that's where you lost. Yeah.
So if I was thinking like I need to figure out marketing and getting a little bit better at, was it believing in myself, being a leader? Because like here's a problem with a lot of great leaders, right? You're great at leading people in day-to-day life, but you're not necessarily great at leading people online because of the trolls and the self-doubt, the self-talk, and everything else that you apply to your online life that you're not applying to your offline life, if that makes sense, right? So if I was somebody who's like, man, I'm watching this, and if she can, make sense of this clown, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I want to learn more about her. What's the best way to go? Should they connect with you on LinkedIn? Should they check out your website? Should they subscribe to your newsletter, or should they just like try to get on your calendar?
So the best place to go will probably be my newsletter. But the second best place is going to be LinkedIn. My newsletter, you can sign up at thinkmindtap.com/newsletter. We'll put that in
I'll
the
definitely put that in the
all
description.
in.
I'll
Yep,
be
it's in the
sharing that
description.
everywhere.
And then you know me on LinkedIn. So just reach out, say hi on LinkedIn. I put content out there. I say I post every day, content that I think helps people, because I don't. My philosophy isn't to hold everything close to my chest. I want to be able to provide value for people. So I do that every day, whether you work with me or not. And if you want that extra level and that extra personalization and that extra depth, that's where you go to work with me.
So I don't like giving or asking people to give us like too much of their free sauce, right? Like, I do. Like I tell people about search engine optimization and how to build backlinks and, why they should join my website, searchprofessionalsnetwork.com, right? And I don't want to, take away too much of your secret stuff that you're selling in your course, right? You have a course?
Yeah, well, so I have a couple of courses. One is on time management and productivity.
Oh, I should
And
probably take that one.
well, hey, anyone can, so I'm not discriminatory. And then the other one is about leading your own innovative, high impact idea. Whether you're an
Okay.
entrepreneur or whether you're in an organization, it doesn't matter your level, industry, nothing. Being able to bring an idea from a thought to a thing is the other course.
All right. So we got two main topics for your courses, right?
Yeah.
Can we steal a little bit of thunder from each one? What's one good time management tip that you would give to people?
One good time management tip. One thing that has made a ton of difference for me is looking at the whole week at the beginning of the week. All right. And Monday mornings when I do this, looking at Monday morning and identifying one thing each day that will what I call move the needle. It'll
Mm-hmm.
make progress. It might not be urgent, but you know it's going to make a difference and it's going to push you forward. So schedule one of those, just one each day, and don't move it. Don't reschedule it. Literally block it and do it.
Kind of
Um,
like doing a chat with me or something like that. Would that include or
hey, this
jumping
is
on
my
the
needle
Friday show?
mover today. Chat with
Well,
Mike.
we'll see. Hopefully, you're not getting too many needles thrown at you for appearing on my show. Uh, you know, hopefully it moves in the right direction. So
Absolutely.
that's a good one. So you're talking about 5 things a week then, since you're doing
Yeah.
5 day schedule.
5
So
things a week, and they don't have to be huge, but just schedule one thing to do each day that you know you're not going to move, you're not gonna reschedule it, it's not gonna go from the
so
to-do list today to tomorrow.
Alexander Andrews, right? He's a guy off in Australia. I got his book because he joined my website. I told everybody who writes books that if they write, books and they join Service Professionals Network, I might just buy their book, right? I've been putting off the book review for like a week. So what you're saying is I should put that on my list for like tomorrow and then not move it no matter what, because I want to do that book review to reward the guy for joining the site and for giving me a good book. And that would be like moving the needle for me. So what you're saying is see, you're coaching me. I'm glad I'm getting free coaching here. I like this. And your
Right.
other thing that you do, you
Yeah.
said was your other course again. I'm sorry, scatterbrain, punched in the head a lot, smoke a lot, bad with short-term memory. I'll probably remember
It's leading your own idea.
leading your own idea, how
Yeah.
to get comfortable presenting it to the world, right? It's kind of what
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally doing the thing. Like, how do you not just talk about your idea? How do you literally make it real?
oh, that's gonna be. I almost feel bad asking for a tip for that. So how do you make it real, right? So do you pick like? Well, I'm just gonna ask you, what's a good tip? I'm not gonna guess. If people don't to hear me guessing, what's one tip that you would tell people about? I have this thing that I want to do, but I haven't started doing it yet. Whether it's a big thing, little thing, whatever. What's one thing that you can do to like tip inspirational thing?
Great. Okay. So that's where you are in the because this is a journey, right? To
Yeah.
lead your own thing. That's a
Oh yeah.
whole journey. Okay. So we're right at the point where you
There's no
have
good.
an idea and you haven't done anything about it yet. All right. Um, the first thing that you would want to do is make a little tiny prototype of that thing. And literally, if it is literally like a sketch of, okay, here is this is how I teach. I have a little clipboard and I say, literally, this is a prototype of one of the things that I did when I was actually in Pfizer. When I wasn't a director, I wasn't a manager or anything. I created an innovation space, and I pitched
So
that
Pfizer, like the Fortune 500 drug pharmaceutical company, right?
that one. Yeah, yeah.
So okay, so you're on the big time doing this for people with the pad and paper, draw it up.
This is my
Great.
approach. Hey, this is how I do
Great.
it.
Guys, if it works for Pfizer, it'll work for all of us. I'm gonna use crayons too. I just like crayons, so I'm gonna. But you know what's funny is I actually did get when I started the Service Professionals Network.com website. I literally got a piece of paper out and I did one big square and I wrote site, and then I did 4 little squares about all the things I wanted to do, like the blogging community, the social media, the job platform, photos and videos. And eventually, it looked like a big square with a bunch of little squares just around it, like a sun. My
Yeah.
developers hate me, but like that's how it starts. Like if you're trying to get it done right, you gotta draw it out. I think put the vision out there, right?
You got to draw it out. And the thing is, your first drawing is not going to be right.
No.
It's
That's
not.
why I use. That's why I use crayons. You can always use a different color.
Well, that's okay. But here, so for instance, like here, this is the floor that I was going to have the innovation space in. This is the door, right? So I put that door, and then here, this is an open space with a bunch of cubicles, and this is actually like closet space of stuff in the middle, and there are offices on the back. And I said, well, if this is the drawing of the floor, I think we should make the innovation space this right here. And then this is where a big screen would be, and this is where whiteboards would be, and then we can put chairs here, and this is kind of what it would look like. And so it literally takes it out of your head and puts it out into the real world, even if it's messy and you know it's not right, but you have to start somewhere. And so this is your starting place.
One thing I didn't bring attention to is I thought it was really cool that you had a pad ready to go. Like you're so prepared. You're like, I'm gonna have to draw for this idiot.
This is literally my teaching tool. It is always at my
No,
desk.
it's great. You know what? Like, I can't even tell you. Like, I hate sound. I've trained a lot of people in many different things, from carpet cleaning, mold removal, SEO. I get the blank piece of paper. I always draw it out. And I'm the worst artist in the world, right? But if you draw it out, people tend to get it. And I think even if you're online, right? Like maybe I'm wrong here, but I ask other people, hey, let's talk about what this is, and then we'll draw it on both sides, and then we share each other's drawings. And sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're totally off. But you know what? At least you know what the other person's hearing.
Well, absolutely, because the thing is, we our brains work with our senses based off of what we see. It's not as much about what we hear because the words are non-tangible, right? They're all in our heads.
Mhm.
So the things that are physical in the real world that you can sense, that's how we connect. That's
I rely on that. You know that old saying about like people forget what you say, but they remember how you made them feel.
yes.
I rely on that. See, so that's why I don't worry about all the dumb crap I say. I just put it out there because people are just gonna remember that I made them smile and laugh anyway. Like I don't know what the guy said, but it makes me laugh. I mean, it's true.
It's
I mean, you
yeah.
know. Anyway, I don't want to just like be all weird and cut it short, but I promise you I want to talk forever. Is there anything else that you'd like to put out there in video while I still have your time?
You know, I'm just really excited to connect with people that have a really good heart, want to make a difference, and I want to help anyone that has those barriers or troubles of being able to make that impact that I know you uniquely can, because it's the diversity of the world that really brings the best ideas together, and we need to uplift those. So I'm really excited to connect with all of you that are listening, even with people like you, Mike. I just
Even people like me.
love exactly. I had to put that in there, right?
Oh yeah, no, I totally, I love that. That's great. I like, all it shows is that I drag people down to my level.
I just like to connect with you where you are. So
Well,
it's wherever we are.
that's one thing I like about you too. Everyone sees Harvard and neuroscience, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to this egghead. She's too smart for me. You know what I mean? But and I'm just being weird. But uh you're very down to earth and you're very kind and compassionate, and I like that. I like the fact that you display your sense of humor. I think that's part of the reason why we're chatting here today, guys, is because I don't think either one of us try to sell each other anything too much, right?
No,
Like
not
he
at all.
definitely didn't try to sell me your course. Like this guy don't have money. I have a
Well,
course.
no, like time management organization here. Like,
Yeah. You know how many people have actually tried to sell me time? It's like, dude, you're so bark. Like, I've sat on many couches and done many tests, and I wasn't the person giving the tests, right? And if you people are willing to pay me, I'll sit down on more couches and do more tests. I don't care. Like, money talks, people. I'm not driven by my ego. But did I ever tell you I'm an elite sleeper, or I don't know what they call it nowadays, and I have an eidetic memory. I smoked my short-term memory out, but like I remember things quite well.
well, that is more than I can say because my long-term memory is nothing.
Well, I wish it wasn't. It's a curse. I wish I didn't remember some of the things, but like I remember, I don't know, too much. I remember too much. What's funny is the first time I did a memory test is because, well, won't dive too about the why, but the first time I did a memory test, the psychiatrist is like, this guy's borderline retarded, right? And that's what he actually said to me. And I did one of those. I'm like, what? I'm like, give me the test again. He's like, no, you just had the test. You did the worst I've ever done. I'm like, they pick 30 things, right? And they're like, they read them off and they show you pictures, right? And they're like, how many of these 30 things in a row can you remember? And then they ask you how many you can do in 30 seconds, right? And then they ask you to go backwards, how many you can remember backwards in 30 seconds, right? So I was the first person in 35 years, according to this person, that got all 30 correct, forwards and back, and I did it in like record time. So I went from Laura, you should have seen his face when he's like, I've never seen that before. I'm like, weren't you the same guy who 7 minutes ago was telling my, who I was with, that I was borderline retarded? Wait, no, you didn't even use the word borderline. You just said that I was, right? And now you're
Well,
telling me
that's neurodiversity. I mean, in the sense of your brain works completely different. And
he triggered me. He pissed me off. That's what he did. So then I'm like, oh, this is a real test. I'm like, okay, ego. Like you're gonna give me a label. I'm like, I got you. I'm like, give me 30 new images. So he asked me to come back a few weeks later. 2 weeks later, I go back. Okay, and I'm like, hey, remember that list? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you want to do that again? He's like, No, you don't. We don't need to go over that again. So I just start telling him the 30 things backwards and forwards. You should have seen his face then. He's like, "You remember that?" I'm like, "Yeah, you pissed me off."
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so I mean, that's the thing is you connected emotion to that thing,
Yeah.
and when you connect emotion to anything, the power behind that is amazing. So,
Like we were talking about. Like if
like
you,
we were
people remember what you make them feel, but they're not remember what you say all the time.
that's exactly right. It
You
all
know?
comes back.
So if you piss me off, remember I'm not going to forget it. No, just kidding. That's why you got to be comfortable with conflicts, right? See where how I'm
Tying it
releasing
all together here. So
small bits of myself, right? I'm not as crazy as people think I am. Like maybe the Humpty Dumpty can be put back together. I don't know. Well, anyway, Laura, I do appreciate you. I think you're putting out some of the best content on LinkedIn, so I was really glad that you took the time to sit here and chat with us today. Thanks for joining the Service Professionals Network, even if you had me make the account for you. I don't mind. I'm the social media floozy. I'll do it. Also, sorry for rescheduling yesterday. I didn't even take the test because I'm a dunderhead and forgot my passport. I forgot to bring that up earlier. Anyway, everyone who's still watching, I don't know why, but I appreciate you. Thank you all. I hope you all have a great day, and we are taking off.
bye everyone. Thanks so much.